All right, so let's take a look now at rapport building tips and tricks. I like to start this part with a little bit of a story because I don't want you to make the same mistake that I made. The first point is you should always keep a journal of your student's profile. And I got to a point where I thought that I remembered everything about my students because they'd all signed up with me before, and you get to that cocky place where you're like, oh yeah, no, I don't need to write anything down. But I have a memory like a goldfish and I should have known it. So I had this student called Amy, and she is a sweetheart. She really is just like a little angel child. And I didn't write down a very important fact with her, but we were having a lesson about a beach and it was really fun, and I said, Amy, do you want to go to the beach? And she said, yeah, teacher. And I said, Amy, do you want to build a sandcastle? And she said, yeah, teacher. And I said, Amy, do you want to go swimming? And she said, no, teacher. I said, oh, why not, Amy? You want to get your feet wet? What's wrong? Let's go swimming. And she's like, no, teacher. I almost died. Yeah, and then it all came back to me that she told me in great detail one class about a near-death experience where she almost drowned in the ocean. And poor, angelic little Amy felt really, really bad that I didn't listen to her and I didn't pay attention to that really crucial and very intimate story of her past enough to be sensitive enough not to ask her if she wants to go swimming. So don't make the same mistake that I did. That was awful. So now what I do is I have a little bit of a cheat, but on the back of each name card, I write helpful little tips about the students. So they double up as cue card memory reinforcement things for me. So write down things like their traumatic experiences, their favorite colors, their birthday, how old their dog is, how old their mom is, if they tell you for some reason. And these are just really good ways for you to start building a rapport because it shows that you have a consistent relationship with them, even if there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on in the week before you've seen them. Second way, and this is a little happier, is find a unique way to introduce yourself. Now, you're going to be using this a lot in the beginning because you are meeting all new students. Every student you have is going to be one that you have for the first time. So find a good way for them to remember your name and remember who you are. My favorite is there's a teacher named Pierre, and he has the cutest introduction ever. His name is very hard to say, that P sound followed by an R sound. It's difficult. So he puts a picture of a pear on the screen and he says, I'm Teacher Pear, but you can't eat me. And it's so cute. Unfortunately, if you're like me and have a name that doesn't rhyme with anything, except for Sparta in my case, you're going to find that it's very difficult to introduce yourself or find something that rhymes. So what I do instead is I create this handy little introduction chart. I just have a little picture of me saying, hello, my name is Marta Teacher, and I have a picture of where I live in Canada, and I show a little bit about my interests. So I have a picture of a fish that I painted, and I say that I like art. And not only is this a good way for the student to get a breakdown of who I am, but it creates a template for them to introduce themselves as well. So I highly recommend you use something similar to this just because it's really going to help the students when they want to sign up with you later or recommend you to a friend, just the same as when you use your teacher name card. And making routine is something that you probably won't have the luxury of doing until you have your semester-long classes, but sometimes you can create it within a class itself too. So I saw a very good example of creating a routine in a final demo, and it was only 10 minutes, but I already understood, and so did the mock student, what to do when the teacher said this or that. In the case of this example, she used my turn and then said what the phrase was. So it could be like, I like cats, your turn, and then the student repeated, I like cats, or what they liked instead, filling in the blank. So just doing tiny little things like that is very good. And if you don't really know how to create a routine, that's also okay because I didn't plan on creating a routine. I tend to get a little bit awkward when there's a wait, when I'm trying to press the next slide in class, and there's a little bit of lag time because technology. And so I would fill in the space of time by doing a little theme song. So I'd say, Ryan, are you ready for class? And he'd say, ready, teacher. And I was like, okay, great. Da, 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 da. And I filled all the silent moments with that theme song. Very short, very brief. And I didn't even realize how much I was doing it until I didn't do it one day. And I said, Ryan, let's go. Are you ready for class? And he said, yeah. And I said, let's go. And it moved to the next slide right away. And then he was like, da 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 da. And we both had a really good laugh about it. And it was just a really heartwarming moment because it made me realize how much the student remembered, even if I didn't, and how meaningful and impactful the little things that you do in class can be. So that's a really good way to start building rapport with your students. And I always like to start classes in a fun way, spending 2 to 3 minutes on a warm-up. And you can even give them a verbal fun time limit by saying, you have 1 minute to draw, or we have 2 minutes to play, something like that, to make them understand the parameters of your activity. So it could be something like playing a game of tic-tac-toe, doing a drawing, having them show you a funny picture, or showing them a funny picture and getting them to talk about it. And if you want to involve them, as you very well should, in your classes, then you should click this little crown tool, which gives them authorization to use the crayon tool or the typing tool. So definitely use that as much as you can to start building rapport and create an even bigger sense of engagement and interactivity within the classroom.